Hey everybody, welcome back to the Renewed Homestead. I'm Ben,
I'm Denise.
and we've got some introductions.
Introductions. Okay.
Introductions.
Do you want to start it again?
Yeah, we'll start again.
Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Renewed Homestead. I'm Ben,
I'm Denise.
and we've got some introductions to make here. Spin around. There's Ramsey.
Ramses.
Ramses. Well, we're not sure exactly what we're going to call him, or Ramulus, for those Star Trek fans out there.
Or Ramio.
Or Ramio. We've got sheep. They're hair sheep, and we have 6 of them at the moment, but one is pregnant, and in the past she has given 2 sets of twins, so we could be 8 real quick here. And you can see the sheep tractor that we built, and we will have another video on that coming out soon, but we wanted to give you a quick update because we must apologize. We've been a little slow getting videos out. We've had some technical difficulties, and not only technical difficulties, but life on a homestead. Homestead happens. We had some power issues in the RV, because we're living in that while we're renovating, and there's a number of things.
The well went out. We didn't have water.
Didn't have water.
So it's a big deal. We were feeding the livestock through the creek.
Yep.
So.
Yes, and we even lost some of the video that we had recorded and had a hard time getting that all recovered. So anyway, let's take you around and show you a little more on the sheep and some other introductions as well.
Hi, Ramsey. Or Ramio, but I think you're Ramsey. I think you're Ramsey. Hi, Ramses.
Okay, introduction number 2. You will see in the background there, you can see our ducks. They've reached pretty much full size. And right there's the little play pool that they want nothing to do with, even though we've set them in it. I don't know.
I think we have defective ducks, I'm going to be honest. They're terrified of us, even though we've done everything possible to make them love us. They're terrified of us still. They don't want anything to do with their pool. I don't know.
But now, thanks to our neighbors, they have some mentors.
Oh.
Our neighbors, wonderful folks, gave us 8 chickens.
Chickens? Since when?
Because our chicks that we'll go do an update with, they're probably not going to be laying until close to August or September even, and they wanted us to make sure we had eggs. So we've got 8 beautiful birds, and even their first night in the new coop, we came out and we had 3 eggs, 3 or 4 eggs the first
4,
day.
actually, we got 4. We got 3, and then you came out a little bit later, and there was another egg.
That's right. But aren't they cool? Just digging through and doing their thing. And the nice thing too is the first couple nights that the ducks were in the chicken coop, the big coop here, they wouldn't even come out on their own. We actually had to chase them out. And now with the chickens, they're at least coming out on their own. So
getting them back in is a whole different story, but
yeah. Duck wrangling in the dark, it's just
fun.
Yeah, we'll call it fun. But let's head up to the shop and take a look at the chicks and see how they're doing. Okay, one of the videos that we struggled to get up was when we got the baby chicks. And you can see well, I don't know if you can see, but most of these are barred rock, a good dual-purpose bird. And then we have 2 black
Australorps.
The theory behind that is, what we've heard anyway, is that if there's a predator flying over and they see black birds in a flock, they will mistake them for another predator and potentially just move on. So we'll go with that, but they're actually the cool looking ones. They've got little different markings, but you can see they're starting to get their feathers now, and I don't know exactly how soon they'll be able to get out in the big coop with the other chickens. But yeah,
you want to make sure they're all feathered out, or else the big chicks could pick on the little chicks.
Yeah. Okay, so we brought these little guys home on April 8th, so they're just about 3 weeks old now, and hopefully in a few more weeks they'll be able to go out in the big real world, out and peck in the grass and become the chickenness of the chicken. Doing a quick check on our bees here. Oh boy. I think we might be getting ready to swarm. I have not seen that much activity. Well, we're going to have to watch that. I don't want to lose half my hive here. Okay, well, while we're doing updates, let's go ahead and check in with the garden. We've got it leveled off and cardboard down with the litter from the ducks, which does not need to be composted before you plant in it, unlike chicken and other birds. So we put that down, and then we got some double ground mulch from a local sawmill, and we've got that down. We've terraced it down the side a little bit, and we'll put up some cattle panel and maybe run our beans up there. We're not 100% positive how that's going to go.
Well, we also added our own compost.
Oh yes,
and so
absolutely the compost that Billy was showing us how to do, and William was helping us with.
We struggled with. Thankfully, they just started. Perma Pastures Farm just started an 18-day step-by-step compost pile, so we'll be following that. We did get it to activate, but we struggled the whole time to get it to activate, and then it would go anaerobic, and then it would activate, then it would go anaerobic. So it was definitely a struggle. But we did get it. We have our compost that's on the garden, and we will be doing the cattle panels and woven wire, so we can have the tomatoes and the peppers and the beans and all of that, the trellising and the choa, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, American Homestead. Got the seeds from American Homestead, and those will go up, and an arbor we're going to create. So we'll have all this done here in the next week.
Yep.
Should have it all planted.
Yeah, and then over on this side, we rolled out some hay, and we're going to try a technique that a lot of people are fond of with planting potatoes, where you're not actually digging up the ground, you're planting them in the hay, and you can just keep adding to the top of that. And we threw some of the double ground mulch in there as well as our compost. So we will get those in. The potatoes are growing eyes right now, so we'll be able to cut those in half or thirds and get them in the ground, in the hay. So
we'll keep you posted on how that works.
Definitely. With the updates, bring you over here to the strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries. This is a blueberry that I went with our neighbor Larry and dug up. It has not come out of dormancy yet, but our strawberries are doing very well. They're a June bearing, so unfortunately we will not get any berries off of them this year, but that's just fine. Get them established, and we'll have them for years to come. There's a raspberry and another raspberry. So far we've had 24 of our strawberries come up and looking good. We put some daffodils in there to keep the deer at bay.
Along with the bone sauce.
Along with the bone sauce, absolutely.
If you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and put a link in the comments to the bone sauce video.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Another blueberry that we bought, and one more blueberry. So obviously this will be kind of a berry patch along here. We'll get some cattle panel up behind it to do some training and trellising of the raspberries in particular. The blueberries are more of a bush, so we won't have to do much with those other than trimming. One more quick update. Our asparagus is doing really well, getting really tall. This one is the Jersey Knight. And we planted daffodils around those. Those are coming up as well. And this one is the Martha Washington. And this one's actually already kind of bushing out. And there's a real tall one. But I believe this is what we want it to do because that will eventually go to seed. I know it's a little messy in here. You can see the straw that we put over all this when we had the frost the other night. Had to protect it. So one more thing. Can anybody tell us what that is? I placed it there. Some of you know. I mentioned it in previous videos. But put in the comments. Let us know what that is if you know. Okay, we are out in the front yard, and our fruit trees along that side are doing very well. We do have one peach that's questionable, but give it a little more time. Our apple trees are down this other side, and those are all doing well.
And our American chestnuts up above are actually doing really well. And apologize for the wind. Hopefully you can hear us okay. It's been a really windy couple of days.
Yes. And that's why there was all the straw around the strawberries too, because we actually had a freeze a few days back that we had to cover everything up, and everything seemed to make it through okay. But so
ran to cover everything up.
Yeah, yeah, blankets for everybody. So the other thing that we wanted to talk about, the chickens that we got. We chose barred rock because they're a dual-purpose bird, as I mentioned. We're seeing a lot of homesteaders out there that have been going with these broilers. The what are they?
Cornish cross?
Cornish cross.
I'm always terrible at remembering the name.
Yeah,
Cornish cross, and then isn't it the red? There's another broiler that's a little bit slower, I think, than the Cornish cross, but I can't remember its name. Most of them are doing the Cornish cross, though.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, we talked that over, and in the spirit of being self-sufficient, Cornish cross can't replicate. We can't reproduce. And so every year, folks are ordering 20, 50, 100 of these birds. Now they grow really fast, and you can put them in the freezer at 6 or 7 weeks.
No, I think it's about 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
I think about 8 weeks.
Okay, which, you know, if that's what you choose to do, that's fine. For us, spending a day, you know, processing chickens, not a big deal, but that means we've got 50 birds in our freezer.
Plus.
Plus. And, you know, again, self-sufficiency, what if we have a power outage? What if the power is out for 3 or 4 days? Okay, we start cooking up bird really fast and canning it. It just doesn't make sense for us. We want the birds to be able to reproduce, and that's why we went with the barred rock. Yeah, we would have to wait a few extra weeks in order to process any of them, but they are supposed to be good mothers and hatch their own, and, you know, we'll give that a try. You know, it's a learning experience, learning curve, I suppose, and we'll see. But
well, like you said, you know, if you choose to do the broilers, we absolutely understand. I mean, having that meat in your freezer is really important. I understand it, especially for your family, especially with what's happening right now in the world. It's a little bit crazy. So it's understandable that you would want to make sure that you have, you know, plenty of meat. We are hopefully going to be going on solar at some point. Right now, we are trying to get the house done and get some other things done before we spend the money on solar. But eventually we will go solar so we can be a little more self-sufficient. But we really, you know, we discussed the broilers. When I first started seeing people working with the Cornish cross, I remember looking at Ben and saying, that's not self-sufficient. So for us, the whole purpose of this is to try to become as self-sufficient as possible. So if we are reliant on a hatchery to send us chickens every season, then that's not really self-reliant. And there was a big issue this year where the post office couldn't keep up, and they had several weeks where they chose not to deliver live animals. They said they weren't going to do it. So unfortunately, a lot of chickens died, and there were people that had to wait for their orders. And, you know, there's some other things that go along with that as well. You know, if you've got 50 to 100 chickens and they're all needed to be processed in one day, that's a very, very long day. We've gone through and processed chickens with Perma Pastures farm, and we were really grateful for the experience, but it's exhausting. You leave that day, you're completely exhausted. And even though we're choosing to raise our own animals for meat, you know, it is still exhausting taking that life. And the other thing is, if you allow the Cornish cross to go, you know, 2, 3, 4 weeks past its prime, past when they're supposed to be slaughtered, many times they can't walk. Their breasts are too big. They can't walk. They can't function. And we just prefer to raise chickens. And I talked to Ben about this, that we can allow them to get a little bit older. The French have amazing recipes to actually get through chickens that are older. They're flavorful, they can be a little tougher, but that's why the French have developed such amazing recipes to help with those chickens. So there are a lot of reasons that we chose not to do broilers. And, you know, like I said, I understand if you are doing it, but for us, we are going to do the dual purpose breeds.
Well, and the fact that we want all of our animals to live the best life that they possibly can. And, you know, as some people call it, the Frankenbird, you know, when they can't even walk and they're jammed in small pens and fed so that they can grow super fast. That's in my mind anyway, and how I feel, is that it's not fair to the chicken. We want chickens that can come out here and peck at the worms and the bugs and you know, more or less free range. We're not going to completely free range, but
we'll control where they're going, but we want to give them plenty of space.
Exactly. We want them to have a good life, and then when we're ready for them, then we do what we need to do. So.
Yeah, and like I said, you know what? We completely understand if you're doing broilers, why you would. We completely understand it, and we discussed it. You know, should we do broilers? For us, we chose to go a different path, but it doesn't mean that choosing broilers is wrong. It's just something that we chose to do a little bit differently.
Anyway, okay. Well, I think we've covered a lot of territory today already, and a lot of updates. And again, we're sorry that the videos have been a little slow coming out. We will keep getting better at that.
Yeah, and some of those updates, some of those videos that we had technical issues with, were going to come out, but because of some of those technical issues, and I started having some issues with my Mac, we ended up scrapping some of it because we were having such a hard time. Figured we'd do a quick update video. And now that hopefully everything's back on track, we can get videos back out to you.
Knock on wood.
Yes.
So. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And take care. God bless. Be good to each other. And we'll see you on the next video.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.